Hello and welcome once again to Hude. It's a huge special this time around where we have a little bit of different in the norm of when we come to you on Hude Hour and we shine a light on a very specific issue, an event or something that has happened, something pivotal in the humanitarian and development space. Welcome. I am Amadine Obewe.
And I am Joanese. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome to Hude Special.
All right, today we are talking about the National Humanitarian Summit, which had in Abuja some time ago. And we are here in the studio with part of the organizers to break down what happened, the key takeaways, the theme, building a resilient nation through humanitarian efforts. All of that, we'll be talking about it with Kenneth Anetor. He is the chairman of the planning committee for the National Humanitarian Summit 2025. And he's also the co-founder of A New Thing Foundation, amongst other titles. Welcome, Kenneth. How are you doing today?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for coming.
On behalf of the convener of the National Humanitarian Summit, Ambassador Timothy, I'll be speaking today, and I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. We want to pick your brain about everything that happened and basically what we're able to get out of it, because when we come together like this in the sector, we want to see progress and we want to see actions, So before we delve into that, we will now take a look at a report of that event. Hude Network was there to participate and be a part of it. And we'll take a look at it now. When we return, we'll talk about everything about the humanitarian sector and the steps being taken to make it a more resilient sector that builds the nation. Don't go anywhere. The National Humanitarian Summit held in Abuja and convened by the Fumilayo Health Foundation brought together stakeholders from government, non-government organizations, faith-based groups, and the private sector to address Nigeria's escalating humanitarian challenges. Speaking at the event, the foundation's director and convener, Adeniro Michael Timothy, emphasized the importance of collective action and the need to turn ideas into measurable impact. Planning Committee Chairman Kenneth Anetor echoed this, stressing the urgency of supporting humanitarian work across the country.
Our country is currently faced with a series of humanitarian crises ranging from killing, insurgency, food insecurity, and the likes of it. So it's far beyond what the government can do. It's a collective work, the government, the citizen, and all of us. We actually had discussion on people maybe suffering from mental issues after crisis. We had someone, Dr. Sadat, who is a mental advocate, and she gave examples on how the government can actually help people in this, maybe giving funds and actually creating a very sustainable environment for them.
Humanitarian sector, because of the amount of contributions they make, apart from individual humanitarians, people that are NGOs and other development enthusiasts, it has become critical to recognize them, become critical to bring them together, become critical to network them in such a manner that there will not be duplication of efforts, in such a manner that there will be synergy, in such a manner that there will be more widespread of activities. More people will begin to mentor more people will be inspired by more people, and a lot of other people can come into the sector because people have passion, they're just looking for the right direction.
Representing the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Jumai Katugum, the Director of Humanitarian Affairs at the Ministry, highlighted how intersectoral collaboration could lead to real change. Also in attendance was Dr. Obinna Ebirim, the Senior Advisor representing the Minister for Youth Development, who praised the depth of expertise in the sector and its potential to solve Nigeria's pressing issues.
It's an opportunity for people to give us an insight of their experiences, because we have a lot of experts in the humanitarian aspect, I noticed. So they'll give us a lot of their experiences and the activities that they've been going to assist people that are very vulnerable in the country.
In closing, the Honorable Minister of Youth Development has asked me to remind us that a resilient nation is not built by government alone, but by the collective efforts of everyone in this room, civil society, development partners, faith-based organizations, the private sector, and most importantly, as he has earlier said, the young people who constitute the highest demography of this country.
Additional insights came from Linus Okorie, Louis Amele, and Jeremiah Oseni, who each spoke on how the summit could enhance the capacity, efficiency, and inclusivity of the humanitarian sector. With the theme Strengthening Humanitarian Effort for a Resilient Nation, the summit emphasized the call to action for all actors to align strategies, bridge gaps, and prevent duplication, ensuring better outcomes for those in need. I'm Adin Ogbewe, reporting for Hude Network. You got to see yourself again and the words you said. So let's start with the objective of the summit. We saw a number of stakeholders come in and speak. Personally, we witnessed a number of panel sessions, and there was a lot of things to take away there. So let's talk about what was achieved. Let's begin there, and then we can talk about maybe other things that happened. But the most important things that people want to know is that when something like this happened, it led to something else.
Okay. As I said again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. When we look at the humanitarian intervention value chain, there are a lot of stakeholders that are involved in getting the impact. And for a while now, it has been everybody working in silos. A lot of people with great vision, a lot of people with passion, and everybody's working in silos. So one of the major objectives of this summit was to bring us together. There was a program that I and the convener, there was a program we went for a while back, and in that program, I was talking to the convener about the Summit of the Future program done by the UN, and I saw a lot of individuals in that program, a lot of youths, and these are youths that get money from European Union. I saw some people that get money from ECOWAS. I saw some people that are philanthropists on their own. I saw some people that are into deep CSR and get money. And these are people that are passionate. But when we got to that program, I saw that there was no avenue to network. I saw that it was like a briefing. UN brought us together and gave us a briefing. Meanwhile, when people were coming for it, because I was opportune to invite a lot of my friends that are politicians that are into government, I was like, okay, you people always see me in the civil space. So I want to invite you guys to come for a program where you can talk with us. And it was just, before we knew it, we're all gone out of the place. I'm like, no, this is good, but we can do something better. We can align individuals from different sectors together to hear their voices, not that they just bring us together and we just hear the UN talk to us. So coming with this program, with the passion of Ambassador Timothy and his experiences and my experiences, wanted to create a platform where people could share their experiences, where we could put passionate people in front of the policymakers, in front of different stakeholders, so that they could express themselves. The government has their own plans, but some of these people are so passionate. Some of them don't watch TV. Some of them don't watch the news, only on their phones. And there are other people that want to come into the space. They have the passion, but they don't have direction. They have the energies, but they don't have anybody to mentor them or streamline them. So it was a platform to put the right people in front of their audience, put them in front of the audience that hardly see them. You would see government officials that would speak about things that they're putting in place, that maybe a civil society person has been experiencing that thing on the field, feeling like government doesn't care. But now he's seeing that, okay, government knows, government cares, and government is working on it. So it was just a way to synergize. And I think this is probably the first step in building a humanitarian response architecture for the nation, because a lot of people are doing things in silos. But on that day, we had government officials, we had NGOs, civil society groups, we had faith-based leaders, we had businessmen and businesswomen. And all of us, whether we like it or not, are integral to having a good humanitarian response architecture in the country. So I believe that it's a journey, and we've taken a step forward with the recommendations that were made, with some of the statements and promises that were made during the program. And we're moving forward to see how we can begin to meet these government agencies and do the right advocacy to hold them to their word, and explore some opportunities that are available for other civil society organizations, because we have a large database of different organizations, their interests, their areas of expertise, even down to the communities where they carry out their programs. And we're looking at how we can begin to bridge them to some of these government initiatives and how they can key in.
Yeah, speaking of communities and where they carry out their programs and the right audience, the right people for the right audience, the First Lady of Zamfara State and Honorable Oluga Taiwo actually made some similar statements in their speech. And they talked about the empowerment of the girl child. And also Honorable Taiwo also talked about how the girl child are always molested, sexual violence in the IDP camps. And, you know, everything that happens revolves around the girl child. What should be done? What are those plans that have been put down to help the girl child to come out of this particular issue?
Thank you for that question. When we look at addressing the issues of gender-based violence and addressing other forms of violence that are akin to the girl child, especially female genital mutilation, one of our panelists that was there, her name is Miss Lois. She works for Philippine Good News Mission. So the organization is actually championing a lot of girl child initiative, and they have a group where there's funding for such initiatives, things that involve female genital mutilation, and where they are sex fund, they share ideas. So during the panel discussions, there are a lot of words that were said, and from the words that the commissioner said and the words that the First Lady said, I believe that there are individuals that are into female genital mutilation and other programs like that. So this platform gave them an opportunity to see these are potential partners, these are potential sponsors, and these are individuals that are already doing a lot of work. If you look into some of the work that they do, you'll be impressed with their resources, with their reach. And now having someone like the First Lady of Zamfara and the Commissioner speak, I believe that you're going to see an increase in activities because partnerships are being established. There are partnerships that I personally introduced that I personally established during the program. And I believe that we're going to see more of those. A lot of work is being done from education, from awareness on good touch, bad touch. I've actually partnered with Miss Lois, Philippine Good News Mission, to carry out campaigns in Abuja. And they have missions in Jos too. So to dwell on one particular activity or one particular humanitarian thing that's been addressed might be a bit missing it. What we're looking at that program is to bring the stakeholders that are working in one particular area and streamline all of them, putting people out there so that if this person says, okay, this person is working in mental health, we put someone on mental health there. When the person is coming down from the panel discussion, we made them comfortable to be around, and people are networking, saying, okay, what stage you work in? I work in, can we do something in distinct states? So now, a lot of funders are interested in results, and a lot of organizations are working out to carry out the plans. If there's partnership, you can meet the funders' demand and be able to carry out activities. So we're just helping to bring everyone together. A lot of people that are into, there was one partnership that I worked on, in an area that's not really looked at a lot, taking care of the elderly. So there was someone that was intentional about there was an organization that invited us to consult for them, and I was intentional about bringing them to the summit, making sure that they listened to it because they're very busy people. And at the end of the day, we're able to bridge them with some other organizations that fund, and they have a home for the elderly. And there were other partnerships that were established like that. So we're just working to synergize, to put people in their lanes, let government provide the policy, let civil society bring the passion, the experience, and the drive, and let other people that want to come into the space feel comfortable.
Indeed. I want to just quickly aggregate some of the things that were said in some of the panel sessions and get your response on them. One of the things there was the need to look inwards and get more innovative ways to sustain themselves. That is, the various actors in the humanitarian sector. So that, there was this talk about not always going, is it cap in hand or, looking for funds and all of that there are other things that could be considered. Still speaking on that, there were also comments, I believe, from Jeremiah Oseni and co about how the humanitarian efforts should be tailored to the people on ground, because, for instance, to put a fictional aspect where a person decided that the way to help farmers in Africa was to give them Bitcoin and access to, digital money. And people wondered, how does this connect? So what do you say about these concerns that were raised by some of the stakeholders? Because, when one person would say it, the crowd would say, I get it. So what do you make of these concerns and how you think we can go forward? Innovative ways.
In the local content, I believe that it's important that we begin to not look at the host communities as beneficiaries, but look at them as partners. It's important that they're involved in the development of some of these ideas. I will not lie, I'll be sincere. I've been someone that was like that. I didn't usually involve the communities in my actions. I would sit down in Abuja, would have our planning committee, we'll plan the way we want to affect somebody's life in Sokoto, because we go to Sokoto and Maiduguri a lot for programs. Without involving them. But over the time when we got to know the community, when we got better training to understand the processes in humanitarian aid response, we began to involve the community in some of our actions. And we started to create programs that were tailored to them, programs that they partnered with, and programs that they partner with are programs that will be owned by them. And they were involved in the implementation of those programs. And when I say implementation, it's not that we gave orders and they took over. They were involved in implementation, they were involved in planning. Monies were transferred to the communities to be the one that would handle some of the activities that were taking place, which means they own the project, which means they protect the project, which means that after the stranger finishes and goes, the program continues. And that has been some of the ways that we set up monitoring and evaluation, created some monitoring and evaluation tools that even after we left, we appointed ambassadors in those communities. And I believe the government has been doing things like that. And there's some spaces, some states that such things haven't happened. But looking at recent developments, you're seeing it. Example is Ministry of Youth. The Kaduna State just created our own Ministry of Youth Development in Kaduna State. So that means that whatever is happening at the federal level can be sent and can be recreated at the state levels. Some of the grants, what it means for that state is that some of the grants that are available to youth, the federal government is setting up grants. If you look at the budget for this year for Ministry of Youth, you see a lot of grants there. That means that people in that state will begin to enjoy it, those grants. It means that in the process of developing, there will also be opportunities for them to key into those grants and more things like that. Yes.
Okay, so before I go to the major question, Amadine, I'm curious to know about how were you able to involve these communities? What were those strategies you put? Was it that there was a communication strategy, and what were those challenges that you faced? Just quickly.
Involving the communities, I won't say that how did we involve the community. I would say that every agency has focal points of interest. Okay. And in us having a point of interest draws to different communities. And us drawing us to different communities, not to come and play with them, is to come and be a solution to them. In us being solution, everybody wants a solution. Everybody, every day they wake up looking for that solution. In us wanting to be solutions was how we got involved in different communities that we work in. And some of the basic challenges are akin to everyone. challenge of security in some places, challenge of availability of emergency funds and funding, challenge of the communities being able to receive humanitarian assistance. There are some communities that you go into and they're like, there's a word, Bashiga. There are some places that you don't have access, they can't let you. You need to now begin to change. If you go to a community and you're all guys, there are some places that all guys can't enter. You need to have women on your team that can be the ones that enter there. So some of this access to even communities receiving humanitarian and some availability of emergency funds in addressing humanitarian situations and security. Security is important.
All right.
Yes.
So basically, you were the chairman of the planning committee. So I guess even in just organizing this event, you already have an inkling into how partnerships build a resilient humanitarian sector that builds the nation. So what can you tell us about that, the whole process, getting people to come together and the lessons learned going forward? It wasn't easy.
It was the grace of God. It wasn't easy. It was God all through. I believe that in working with passionate people, passion speaks. I believe there are a couple of things we could have done better, and I believe it was a good program. I believe there are a couple of things we could have done better. I believe that we could have maybe reached out to some other organizations in time to get the actual buy-in. I believe that, but apart from what I believe, things that I saw Nigerians come out. Not just Nigerians. I saw the fourth arm of government, the development space, come out en masse to receive wisdom, to receive knowledge. I saw media brands that were passionate. A big shout out to Hude Network for being with us before the journey, during the journey, and even after the journey here today. I saw different people that were passionate about making a difference. The truth of the matter is that humanitarian situations are not akin to one person. They all touch each and every in humanitarian space. The words that they speak have a way of touching different people because Nigeria is developing. So I saw different people with passions. I saw people bring their resources. I saw a lot of people bring what they had to the table. I saw that if you have apart from the people that were there in stage, people sitting in the VIP, I had people, government officials, high-ranking politicians that were doing recordings of us moving around, because I was moving around during the program, doing recordings of us sent to me later, say, we were at your program. If I was going to say it's a lie, they sent me videos where they recorded me moving around. So it was not like the VIPs, where people were in VIP was not even, those were VIPs. But there were other VIPs sitting in the audience because they want to come into the space, but they didn't have a roadmap. They didn't know how to do it. And they just saw this as the right information to receive mentorship, to get partnership.
Fair enough. It was a great one. Also from us here, when it comes to development communication, we are full partners. We aren't just there to cover. And that's why when you talk about before, during, and after, we're always partners in the mission to ensure humanitarian and development progress across board. So thank you so much for coming, Kenneth.
It's a pleasure.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll talk with another person who was part of the organizers. He will join us to give us just a little bit more insights and expand on what the event had to offer and also on building a resilient nation and also how it could expand to the global space. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Now we've been joined by another member of the organizing or part of the organizers of the National Humanitarian Summit, talking about the head of media strategy, that is Paul Awaje. All right. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to have you, Paul.
Thank you so much.
So we've covered a lot already with Kenneth. So we just wanted to know a little bit more about the barriers, particularly the cultural barriers, because I think one thing to note here is that we are talking about the National Humanitarian Summit. When we talk about building a resilient nation, in this regard, we are talking about Nigeria specifically.
Exactly.
Even though over here at Hude Network, we do cover, or pay attention to the global space. But for today, let's talk about what cultural barriers exist while ensuring that resilient nation and humanitarian effort is being built.
Okay, first of all, I want to say a big shout out, and we appreciate how Hude Network always has been with us, coming through on the summit as one of our partners. I want to say we really appreciate that, and I want to say congratulations to my team for putting up such a very laudable summit. I want to say congratulations to myself, the strategist.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations to you.
When Dr. Tim called me and he was like, Paul, I want you to be the strategist for this summit. I was like, why me? And I was like, I see what you do and I want you to do it and you can do it. And, it all started with a belief. And I was like, okay. And someone like me, I'm very passionate about everything I do. And I like to put in my all. And I'm so proud of myself for this.
Well done.
Okay, so when we talk about cultural barriers, here in the North specifically, I would say I've not really faced, because mostly I'm always on ground, being the frontline man. I like to go ahead, to know what's happening anytime we have work to do, especially on projects with a new thing, International Foundation, which I'm also the head of media. So we always go ahead. In the North specifically, I would say because of my background, family-wise, and understanding how Northern people behave, it has really helped me in communicating strategically with them, communicating our project objective and how we intend to carry it out. And most importantly, one of the best ways to avoid these barriers is work with the people. When you're bringing a solution to the people, they want to know that you're working with them. So working with them also has really helped us, in being able to carry out our programs and projects, easily. And also another one is when we went to the East, to work in Imo State, Olu precisely. So if you understand the East, particularly Imo State, you understand that Olu is one place that people say a lot of funny things about that place because of, the wonderful nature of the people and the terrain as a whole. When we went to Olu, we are so grateful to God that we have part of our team members that are Igbos. The head of a new thing is partly Igbo, and he understands that terrain so much. So communication sometimes is a problem, but in our case...
Sorry to cut in. Other than the language, are there any times where you face a situation where the issue at hand, issues like female genital mutilation, some of the things are rooted in some outdated culture, so to speak?
Exactly.
How are you able to cut across the divide and explain? Because sometimes people feel as though you're just coming to take what is theirs, and they might not understand the dangers.
Exactly. So when you talk about culture, you talk about things that are age-long, that are deep-rooted. There are certain kind of practices that happen in certain places, just like when you talk about female genital mutilation. These are age-long traditions that have been there with the people. And so for you to just come up one time and you want to tell them that this thing that their forefathers have been doing, which is something they came and met, that this thing is not the right way. You have to be strategic in knowing how, to pass these messages across. So most times we work with the people there, and we also employ experts like Kenneth was saying. We have a lady in our midst, Lois. She's one of our partner with our NGOs. She's like an expert, all this kind of stuff. So we basically communicate with them and work with experts to, pass the message across, and also in the language they understand. If they understand Hausa, we go as low as, speaking Hausa with them. If it's Igbo, you go as low as getting somebody to communicate with them, because one of the things that, in a way, could really mitigate any crisis is communications, how you communicate, how you pass the message. So sometimes you might be telling me something that is right, but the way you tell me might make me decide to refute it. I'll be like, who this guy thinks he be self? So when you go to a community, knowing that there are those age-long traditions and practices, you have to go down to their level, to talk to their leaders, talk to those that understand. Sometimes we even make sure we get like and a learned or enlightened member of that community that understands the work we're doing, to communicate with them.
All right, fair enough. Thank you so much, Paul. It's obvious that you've really, really been in the space and you're really doing well. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so just your final words on the stakeholders that you and your team were able to bring for the national summit. What are those things you want to say to the stakeholders as they go back into the field to continue the work?
All right. So one thing I've learned, working with a New Thing International Foundation is working as a team. The meaning of team for me is together, everyone achieves more. And that translates to goal 17 of the SDGs, partnership for the goals. So I've learned over time working with a New Thing that you can't do anything alone. For this production to be happening, you have people behind, what people are seeing here that are doing so much to make sure that you're out there. So basically working as a team, every stakeholder should realize that the government, the civil society, the private sector, we are supposed to be working together. We're not supposed to work in silos. We're supposed to, coordinate ourselves. So we have this project that is ongoing. It's called SOBE, School Outreach for Better Education. It's a coalition of NGOs that came together. We come together to talk to youths on different issues, as concerning social vices, bullying, bad touch, good touch, substance abuse, and the likes. So, working together with people and learning that you cannot do something alone, you have to work with partners. And it's very important also that I must give credit to the media, because the media is the fourth realm. Because personally, I'm a communications major. I studied mass communication. So I believe in the power of media to drive change. The media is always there, to communicate, to let people know that this thing you're seeing as a norm is not a norm. There is a better way. And I must say that you guys are doing a very good job.
Thank you so much for trying to do our best in this development communication. And it's always a pleasure to join the good work. Thanks so much for coming. And
thank you, Paul.
Thank you for having us.
So that's how we end this segment of the program. We'll go on a quick break and we'll take a look at verified voices, what some people actually said across social media space regarding the National Humanitarian Summit. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This is still Hude Special right here. We're talking about the National Humanitarian Summit. So let's take a quick look at what's been said on social media space as regards verified voices on this particular issue. Paul Oladipo is joining us now. Paul, what do you have for us?
Oh, it's been a lovely special today, Hude Special. I'm talking about the Humanitarian Summit, National Humanitarian Summit. You know that anything that happens in real life also has its own version on Twitter. So let's take a look at this tweet from Ofodo Ifeanyi Raymond, talking about how it went down there at the event. It says that the National Humanitarian Summit is a turning point for the vulnerable population caught in humanitarian crisis. We conveyed stakeholders to reimagine the humanitarian situation in Nigeria and also provide solutions to the current challenges faced, also tagging some other persons there on Twitter. Well, I guess it's also important that I also mention that Ifeanyi was one of the panelists at that particular event, and he spoke a lot about collaboration as well. And I think that's one of the things that we're talking about, how to see more people coming on board. Quickly, let's take the second tweet as well from Lasisi Godwin. That's another panelist who is very passionate about climate change specifically. He says that this is more than a summit. It's a national call to action. Let us #spark change together. And I think that's the message that has been passed from the beginning of this particular program, talking about how we can all collaborate, work together to ensure that we see improvements in this particular sector. And I think that's the main goal. And that's what we take home from that particular summit. And also, it's also a call to action, just like Lasisi has mentioned, meaning that it's not just for us to just do the talking, but also go back to the drawing table, provide new blueprints with what we've learned now, and also carry out those actions. And
Indeed.
I think that's the main thing.
Indeed, I believe you've said it all. And we look forward to seeing, again, what emerges from all of this. I understand that there was already a congregation of ideas which led to some sort of framework, but we'll see more. And there will always be here. That's what we're here to do, to bring you developments in the humanitarian and development space. So when these things happen, we'll bring them, break them down, and expand on what more we can do.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Paul. John, you already have.
Well, at this point, it's just for the normal saying where they say actions speak louder than voice. It's better that people should go into the space. We already have a problem. We have problems. So it's time for us to generate solutions which the National Summit has already done. So, and it's very important for us to also go into the field and make sure that we bring this into life.
Indeed. But that's how we round off the program. Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. And it's important that we should all collaborate.
Of course.
All right. See you next time. This has been a huge special, but our regular Hude Hour programs will come at the regular scheduled time, 8 a.m. every Wednesday. We bring to you more issues within the space, and we prioritize solutions. Amadin Lord. Bye for now.
And I am Joanese. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.